Hello and welcome to the Digital Digest, your weekly breakfast of insights, tips and tricks and general information that will help anyone trying to move things forward in this digital world of accounting. This show is brought to you by the Digital Disruptors and SB Digital, and I'm your host Ryan Pearcy, and I'm lucky enough to be joined by John Toon from a different country today, out skiing, whereas I'm in the UK enjoying the Christmas break with my little Christmas cardigan and antler ears, if you're watching the video. But because it's Christmas and we're approaching the new year, John and I thought we'd do a little bit different for this episode. So we're going to touch on what we think were the biggest and best releases in the accounting tech world this year. Some of those that didn't maybe cut the mustard, and some apps to maybe look out for in 2024. So I guess diving straight in with some of those big bits of news that made a big difference this year. We had Visma acquiring Silverfin. So I guess over to you, John. You've been working with Silverfin for a while. What do you think of this acquisition?
Yeah, I think this acquisition is really big news. As we know, Ryan, the HG are involved, heavily with both products. So it is a little bit of a reshuffling of the decks for them in terms of their investment priorities. I think, given that Visma are probably the biggest software company across mainland Europe and don't really have too much of a presence in the UK, I think it's really interesting that they've chosen to pick up Silverfin and add it to their portfolio of products. And although they are a Belgian-based company, they do have a significant presence in the UK. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in 2024 as both Silverfin develop out their products could more, but also to see what Visma maybe do to try and leverage that presence in the UK to maybe bring some of their portfolio products into the UK as well.
Yes, yeah. I think that Silverfin's they've completely changed their brand image since Lisa Mars-Hill took over, and I think the acquisition is probably the combination of that and the impact they're having in the UK. But yeah, big news, going to see big things, I think, from Silverfin over the next few years. A little release, something that's probably gone under the radar for a lot of businesses, but I've seen it has big potential, is Dextension. It's a tool that links Dext and Xero together. And I know that I've been playing with it. I believe you've been playing with the tool as well, John?
Yeah, I've been using Dextension ever since the beta launch. I think it's still in beta at the moment. But I absolutely love it. I think it's probably, for me, maybe the biggest release of 2023, if we can put it up there, in terms of something that's changed the way that you interact with products, so significantly. And what they've done is they've basically built a Chrome add-in, which I guess they've probably maybe stolen the idea from Mayday, but we'll come back to that in a second. They've built a Chrome add-in that allows you to bring the best of two products together. So you've got, within Xero, you can then start to see things like your Dex precision, bookkeeping, quality score, and you can also then, within things like the bank reconciliation, you can see the transactions that were matching with invoices already scanned in Dex Precision, in Dex Prepare, and you can then sort of reorganize that list of transactions so that you can automatically reconcile the match transactions, leaving just the outstanding transactions. That's just a couple of features that they brought in. There's lots more in there, and it's a great way of implementing a product.
Yeah, and as you say, it is still, I believe, in beta, going to be released early 2024. That's the plan. And if you've not heard of it and used Dex and Xero, check it out. It's the quickest I've gone from seeing a product to bringing it into the firm since I've been at Scrum Bland. Literally everyone that saw it just went, yeah, we need to use that straight away. We can only see positives of doing that. And if you use more of the Dex products, such as Dex Precision as well as Dex Prepare, you're going to get more out of it as well. But talking about free, we've also had a couple of free releases by the big boys, QuickBooks Online and Sage. They brought out freemium versions of their core software, I believe aimed at the smaller end of the market. Is there anything you know about this, John, and why maybe they've brought these out?
I think it's actually a reaction maybe to Xero, having had their sort of ledger equivalent products that have been out in the market pretty much ever since Xero launched. I think they were there right from the beginning, if I remember rightly. And I think they've finally realised that firms, who are maybe doing bookkeeping on behalf of their clients, don't need the full product capabilities and don't necessarily want to pay for the full product capabilities and want kind of a slimmed down version of that to do some of those things. Sage obviously launched this back in April, and I think QuickBooks was around about September, October time. Can't remember the exact timing, but I mean, there is a prevalence still in the UK of sort of those bag and box jobs, which is where these kind of products really kind of fit well for firms to kind of to try to start digitizing those clients that maybe are a little bit more resistant or just aren't really interested, but it just makes your internal processes a bit more efficient.
Definitely a huge untapped area. And I guess, it's that penetration pricing, isn't it? You try and get them into the product and you can upsell a pay-for version, and it's something that's worked really well for Intuit over in the US with their tax software. So yeah, it makes sense for them to release something in the UK. You mentioned it earlier, John. We've got Mayday that have been doing a lot in 2023, and something that I thought was great at the start of 2023. One of the best things that I've seen is the fact they released their entire product roadmap, and not just for 2023, but literally everything they wanted to do. And I thought that openness, the revealing everything that they wanted to do and the product and the stages they wanted to get through to get there. It's not locked down. It's like, this is our vision. I thought it was great. And they've already released both Bragg, which is bank reconciliation as a group, I believe, and Balancer, which is that automated way of identifying if intercompany accounts are, unbalanced, and the ability to reconcile that. I know that they want to move into year-end processing and also just adjustments within an entity, such as, if you think about zero and tracking categories, moving things between departments. Is there anything that I've missed on that, John?
Not really, Brian. I mean, I think, like as you say, Mayday has been an interesting product to watch, and yeah, I completely agree with you on the whole roadmap thing. I mean, that is fascinating to see from a product. We're crying out all of the time, aren't we, to see more of this from the other vendors that we utilize. The one thing I would say is, as I alluded to in the Dex commentary, was that Mayday, the bank reconciliation across the group feature that they've got there, is effectively a Chrome add-in, and it does tailor slightly the way that you use Xero to add an extra sort of tab essentially to the reconciliation pages when you're in Xero. But it's a really powerful feature. I mean, we use it across a few companies of clients of our own, and it's a massive opportunity just to sort of streamline that process, where you do get those frustrating transactions that happen in one company that need to match against an invoice in another, for example, and you do the ability to now do that almost seamlessly is really great.
Yeah, in groups of companies, it seems to be increasing volume as you've got businesses, having to do things, diversify, and to manage risk, hiving those out into separate legal entities. As soon as you do that, the bit that never works is the intercompanies, right? You need something to help you do that, and Mayday is a great tool to bring in. A big potential launch, something that I loved this year that I think is going to have huge legs over the next few years, is Todd Copilot. So Tax on Demand Copilot, using AI to go through the entire of the tax legislation, so you can ask a question and it brings back the answers. I think is great. I've not had a chance to play with this yet. I know it was released at the back end of 2023. Have you dabbled with Todd Copilot at all yet?
Yeah, we've dabbled with it. We've let it loose. Yeah, we've dabbled with it, and we've let it loose with our tax teams, just to sort of see what their thoughts and sort of ideas were in terms of how accurate it is and whether or not it's useful as a tool. That sort of test and trial is still ongoing at the moment. But I think I think this kind of product is something we're going to see more and more of. And for anyone that works in tax, I mean, I can't remember the exact numbers when it's definitely on the Todd website, but I think the UK tax code is one of the most complex, one of the most wordy. Yeah. And it's not just the basic tax code that they've brought into the chatbot, but they brought in all of the peripheral stuff around the outside, the guidance, the notes, and that in itself runs to hundreds of thousands of pages. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I guess from a firm perspective, some people might be a bit challenged about that in terms of, do we still now need to have tax experts, or is this going to be reliable enough to use it as the basis for tax advice going forward? I think the only way to find that out is to test it ultimately, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think it will start where it's just enhancing, those tax experts' ability to research. It will make it a lot quicker, and then that sense check, like, is it bringing back what we expected to bring back? Will still need to be there at first, but then it's going to learn over time. It's an intuitive system. A couple of smaller things that I thought were great releases in 2023. Free Agent released Smart Capture, that OCR technology, into their platform, and that's just one example of what Free Agent will be doing a huge amount of releases through 2023, and has brought that product more to the fore and more onto a par with like Xero, QuickBooks Online, and Sage. We've got Payhawk. If you've not heard of Payhawk, check it out. That's a card management system that brought in purchase orders, and this enabled them to kind of bring it themselves more into entire expense management, and change the likes of Lightyear, Dext, auto entry, that side. So do check out Payhawk. And then one that came out right at the end of 2023 that we loved, and we've had been lucky enough to get Alex from Shermeister on to talk about, is Xero Pay. Not sure that's its official name. It might be Pay with Xero, might just be the ability to pay with Xero. Don't know what the branding is, but the overlay of, the embedding of the Cresco payment engine into Xero, so you can just pay bills directly from within Xero. We always struggled a bit with the with Pay with Wise. We never adopted that because it just felt cumbersome. But the first dabbling of Xero Pay, or whatever we're calling it, has been a pleasant experience. And I know that they still have a lot of features to release, such as foreign currency. There's limitations at the moment, but yeah, it's a great tool. Have you used Xero Pay at all yet, John?
Do you know what? I haven't used Xero Pay yet. We were users of Pay with Wise, and like you, Ryan, found it frustrating. It was a little bit fractured. I am a user of Cresco, and I'm familiar with that app, so I can only imagine that this is going to be great. And it's on our sort of roadmap, if you like, for 2024 to have another look at and see, because payment services, payment technologies is an area that we've never quite nailed as a firm in terms of what route we want to take and what option is the best for us.
Yeah, same. It's something that it's becoming more critical for us now. We want to bring it in as an add-on service, and so picking the right tool is something we need to nail down in 2024. So as well as what we thought was great, we've also had some where we think maybe this is great, we're not so certain. And Intuit Assist is one of those, because it's got huge potential. And if you're unsure what Intuit Assist is, it's basically Intuit's overlying or underlying AI technology across its plethora of systems, be that QuickBooks Online, MailChimp, etc. Now, the reason that we're unsure about this is when it was first announced, I think that John, Indy, and myself were like, this could be amazing. But we've not really seen it do anything as yet. It's been built into MailChimp, but the only thing I've seen that it can do is the editing of inline email, like writing or marketing things, to kind of prompt you in what you're going to write. And that's been around in lots of other systems for ages. So we think it's going to be great, but we believe they're training it, and it's going to be a little while till we see the benefits. Is there anything that, what do you think of this, John? Do you think that's going to be a big difference in 2024?
I think we're going to see a fairly significant acceleration of these kind of products. I mean, in the US, Intuit have already got products like Digits, which they're going to be competing against. That is a very, very similar product to what they appear to be trying to build, in terms of it's a chatbot that you can connect to QuickBooks and to Xero and to other things, and then sort of interact with your data, ask questions, and sort of say, what was my performance like in the last quarter. So they're kind of removing this need to generate reports that I guess we would normally do traditionally, management reports, etc. Being able to interact with your data, and again, this isn't new. We saw this from Sage with Peg a long time ago, where they were trying to get a chatbot to interact with your accounting data. But the large language model technology that's around now just enables you to be a bit more sophisticated. And like I say, Digits in the US is a huge product, got a lot of money behind it, and it's making some waves over there. So I think a lot of the general ledgers are going to have to start adopting this kind of technology to stay relevant. And also, we've got to bear in mind that the customers of the future, that are going to want to use these products, the kids that are still at school, that are going to be leaving school and college and university in the next few years, and then considering becoming entrepreneurs of some description, will want a different way of interacting with their accounting and finance information, and that's going to be disruptive, not just for the apps, but also for accountants as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all of the main players are going to be bring out AI engines. I think Intuit have probably the best potential because they've got such a plethora. They've got much more data to work with. And yeah, it's an exciting time. But yeah, unsure how great it is going to be at the moment because we just need to see more of it. Another big launch in 2023 was Firm Check over in the UK. I'll hand this one over to you, John, because I know you know a lot more about Firm Check than I do.
Yeah, I started working with Firm Check when they came through the early adopters hub, probably towards the tail end of the previous year, and then they were looking to work out whether they could get product market fit in the UK exactly right. Already got a presence in New Zealand and Australia as a product, and I think 2023 became the year almost of sort of AML products. We saw quite a lot coming out, but Firm Check was one that really stood out as they'd listened to the market, not just me, but listen to other people in the market, and we're really trying to figure out what is the problem that firms are having around their AML procedures and how can they go about fixing some of those problems. And yeah, I think the jury's still out. I think there's going to be a bit more competition maybe expected in 2024, and I think AML requirements continuously change, and you've got a decent number of other products in the mix as well. You've got Zama, of course, which has been around a little bit longer in the UK. You've also got Sage. They've got a AML checking, which is sort of combined with their quoting tool, Go Proposal, that they acquired. So that I think that end-to-end customer client acquisition piece is going to be an interesting one to watch in 2024.
Definitely, and you've got others that are hybrid solutions such as Summer Tech. You've got T-Tech's system for mid-tier accounting firms as well that are, I guess, the focus of attention on the back end of 2023, and we'll see a lot more of that in 2024. Another one that we're excited about, but probably need to see a bit more, is the Zero e-invoicing tool that I believe is built on Tickstar. And great announcement at the Zero Roadshows. It's something that we know it needs to be in place, needs to come, but really it's going to get much use early on, probably not. So something to look out for over the next few years. But as well as those great releases, we've also had some that have been pretty disastrous. And I don't think there's been any more disastrous than the release of BrightPay Cloud Payroll in April to then be pulled within 2 months. And still, I believe, in beta. Is that right, John?
Yeah, I think it is still in beta as far as I'm aware, and it was a big surprise that because obviously here's a product that has got an incredible reputation, brilliant on-premise solution, probably if not the number one payroll product, but certainly in the top 3 payroll products as far as accountancy firms in general liked. And they launched in the cloud, and it was an absolute disaster. Lacking considerable amount of features that people wanted or expected. And I think this is kind of goes back to I think it's a communication challenge for these products. Is that this transition from desktop to cloud isn't just a copy and paste. It isn't a lift and shift kind of thing. You've got to think fundamentally about your product, about how it's designed, what the UI and UX looks like, and also how you release those features. And I think if you are going to transition to the cloud, we've seen this with other players in the market. Quite often they do start with a slimmed down version of their original product, and that may or may not appeal to users. And certainly in BrightPay's experience, it massively did not appeal, and was a bit of a PR disaster for them. So they've got another few months to get that right, and I'm assuming that they'll go live with a revised product in April of next year.
It makes sense, and hopefully this time they've listened to the feedback and they get it right. I mean, yeah, brilliant desktop product, and I'm still excited for when the full cloud version comes out and properly makes waves. One that I thought was quite entertaining, and if you didn't catch it on the pod, please check out our history of podcasts, the Digi-Tools and the Accrual World pod. But the IRS, so the US tax system, decided they were going to go completely paperless by 2025. If you ever heard us talking about the IRS, they are the most antiquated, backwards, operational system ever. Everything is paper. You have to email in. Virtually nothing that's digital. Yet they're going to completely go paperless by 2025. No chance, in our opinion. And we were quite blunt on that regarding the pod. And then you've got Intuit pulling out of France. In itself, not massive, but it kind of comes on the back of some of the other players also pulling out of other jurisdictions. And something that John and I and Indy talk about is a desire actually for these products to push into those other countries and have country-specific, I guess, or dedicated systems such as we've got in the UK. And the fact they pulled out was not helpful in that state. But we understand it from an economical point of view. There are competitors in that marketplace. And then a big one that created waves throughout the UK accounting marketplace was the DEX pricing changes. And that was a disaster in PR. What did you think of that one, John?
The DEX pricing changes, well, I mean, ironically for us, they were great because we actually ended up with a price drop. But it was just a bit bonkers, I think, in terms of the way that they managed the PR and they managed the communication again. And I think, again, a lot of the issues that we've seen with products and vendors over the last few months, maybe years as well, it's been about comms, hasn't it, really? It's been about articulating the message and why they're trying to make changes. And where you don't do that well, you end up with the disaster that DEX found themselves in, where, basically, the accounting communities were starting to sort of, effectively compare and contrast their pricing arrangements with everyone else, and then realizing that everyone had something, better or worse than them. And obviously that then caused even more problems. And the irony, of course, was that DEX were trying to, get to a place where they had a consistent pricing for everyone rather than the kind of inconsistent issue that they had historically.
Yeah, I mean, DEX have basically done two big announcements since I've been working with them. One was to change the name from Receipt Bank to DEX, and the other one's this pricing change. Both which I think needed to be done, both that just did not get handled very well and seem to have just caused problems. In itself, yeah, I don't think we disagree with the context of why they're doing these things, but I've never seen social media in the accountancy side go completely up in arms like it has been over these two releases. But it'd be unfair of us to also recognise those that have unfortunately passed in the past year. And we've had, from an app perspective, we've had Comma that left us in November. So that payment app. We've had Hindsight, the reporting tool that also decided to shut its doors in November. And we had Libio, that huge payment system in France that came into the UK, burnt quickly and brightly, and then pulled back and out of the UK earlier in the year. So unfortunately, as we kind of experience in this, we've got new entrants always coming in and then some that always leave. But we did want to touch on a few that we think would be those to look out for in 2024. And I've picked out a couple from my side. One is Apron, which is a payment system that has done a lot of development over the 2023, loads of releases. Check out the appnews in our website at digitaldisruptors.com if you want to see things that they release. And then I've got FYI, who've come over from Australia. They've been around the UK marketplace for a while, but they've really honed the product. It's a document management, task management, was pretty much become practice management tool now. And they've really honed the product, and it looks really powerful from what I've seen. So that's something I think is going to do really well in 2024. John, are there any that you think that you'd want to look out for in 2024?
I think the only thing that would be interesting to see would be the product that Michael Wood's working on, which the name of which completely escapes my mind at the moment. Come on, Ryan, can you remind me what he's working on?
Translucent.
Translucent. There you go. That's the one. So I think Translucent will be one to look out for in 2024 because Michael's clearly got a very clear idea of what he wants to build out there, and also got the investment capital behind him to do so. And then, I'm not really sure what else is going to come. I mean, maybe, just maybe, one of the big boys like CCH or Iris might actually get something out in the cloud which we want to have and use, but we'll maybe sit on our hands and wait.
Yeah, they've made a lot of announcements in 2023 that there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in 2024, but they've made lots of announcements in the past, so we'll see. But as you know, we kind of like to do on this show, we've gone through lots of apps. There's things that I'd like to just kind of highlight as what we've bid by or been, what we think have been the greatest releases, those that we think have got the most potential, and those were just a failure. And from my perspective, something that I guess I would buy into would be Intuit Assist. I think there's a huge potential there. I think it's going to be a huge product, and fundamentally has the potential of changing how we work with accounting software going forward. If I was to, I guess, get into bed with Dextension, that's a brilliant little tool. Definitely, if you use Dex and Zero, go and get it. There's no, don't even question it, just go and get it. And then from a bin perspective, I think from my side, has to be the IRS trying to go paperless by 2025. It's just an absolute joke. What about yourself, John? Have you got a bed, buy and bin from what we've run through today?
I think for me, bed would be Dextension. Absolutely, for me, say, standout thing for 2023. If I was going to buy something, maybe Mayday. I think I'd put a bit of money into that and see what comes of 2024. There's going to be a bit more competition in that space, but I think it's an exciting one. And bin, do you know what? I'm going to be pretty cruel here and say Brightplay Cloud. I mean, I think they've burnt a few bridges there, and it's been a bit of a disaster. So I think they've lost some kudos, and that will have an impact on them.
Definitely. And I think that feels like a great place to wrap up this week's show. So hopefully this episode has provided you with the valuable insights that you can take forward. But please do check out show notes for links to digital structures, SP Digital, and a few of those that we've mentioned today through this summary. If you want to ensure that you catch future episodes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you look out for the release on a Thursday morning. And we look forward to speaking to you again next week.